other interactions between industry giants, practitioners, as well as enthusiasts. Now, one of their projects is a poetry platform they call Pass on the Words, which, according to JBF, is set to support young people to read and write, to perform, as well as to publish their work and to read the word and to the world. Now, monthly poetry forum, which assembles every second Saturday of the month from 12 to 4 p.m., is hosted by our national poet laureate, that's Professor Willie Kgositsile, under the theme Youth Rising. But joining us to tell us more about Pass on the Word is the director of the Jozi Book Fair, Maria Vandriel. Maria, a very warm welcome to Morning Live. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Morning to me. Thanks very much for inviting Jozi Book Fair.
Thank you so much. Now, this feels like deja vu because, you know, I've spoken to you before, even in past year about the Jozi Book Fair, but always a pleasure talking to you, Maria. Now, let's talk about Pass on the Word. What inspired this idea, would you say, and what has taken it to get it going so far?
You know, we want to promote an intergenerational dialogue as well between the older generation and the new upcoming generation, and the importance of memory, and also the importance of having this bridge between us, so that we're actually looking at how do we build on the continuity, the strengths, the traditions, etc., but at the same time enable the youth to take the space and to enable them to define the world, you know, for the present and for the future. And so what better way than to get somebody like Professor Kgositsile, who can facilitate that, because he's just got such a wealth of experience and knowledge. And as he says to them, you know, I'm not an expert, I'm just older than you. And so he gives them a platform, and he's very gentle, so he enables them also to rise and to, you know, fulfill what they want to do. So it works very well.
Now, take me through, you know, the theme as well there, Maria, and how you plan on, you know, having it, you know, applied at this monthly gathering.
The first, one of the, I think, what is a really nice story about Pass on the Word. Apparently, Richard Wright, a sailor, got off the boat here in the 50s, and he had a book called Black Boy. And this book did the rounds, was passed on, literally passed on to people to read. And from one author to the, you know, at the time they were not authors, they were cultural artists or activists, and people like Professor Kgositsile. And we want to capture the same idea. How do we pass on the word literally? So there's a discussion. Kgositsile reads his work. Then there's an open discussion and critique. Because as he says to you, if you don't think it's good, say it's not good and say why. And he is encouraging them to read, to think about what they're doing, to practice their art. So he uses his own work firstly, you know. So it's really about how to create a very safe environment so that they can feel comfortable to begin talking about his work, critiquing his work, and then there's an open mic session. And we did have the first one last week, and it was fantastic because people just, you know, they were very courageous, very talented. They did their poetry in their own languages. So we moved from English to Sesotho, to Tswana, to isiZulu, etc. And it was just wonderful because people then felt, you know what I mean, that this was their forum. Right. They could take ownership of it and, you know, just say their poems and perform it.
It sounds like a very interesting and diversified format that you have there for the gatherings. But you know, you speak so fondly about Professor Willie Kgositsile, and, you know, I can only imagine what a pivotal role he'll be playing at these gatherings. Take me through why you selected him and what you think he will contribute to these gatherings.
Look, he's a poet of note internationally. His poetry is, you know, translated into many different languages. But he's also been an activist, not only in this country, but in the Black arts movement in the United States, which was part of the civil rights movement as well, and the struggle of Black people all over the world, you know, in the diaspora. So they looked at, so he also has looked at used music, art, etc., language. He's worked with people like Coltrane. So, you know, jazz is an important aspect of his work. And of course, in South Africa, jazz is very important here as well. So he can traverse different art forms, from the word to music to performance as well. And so he brings this wealth, you know. So he'll be working with our young people, assisting them. And I mean, he's very generous because he's giving up of his time to work with them to write, to assist them to perform, and we will then produce and publish their poetry in time for the book fair this year. So, you know, the Jozi Book Fair creates readers and writers in all languages. So this is how we try to do this, that we actually work with young people, so that when they come to the fair, not only will they also be, participate and see writers like Zakes and Da, etc., but they'll be performing their own work as well, and people will be able to see them, and they'll be very, very active participants in the fair itself.
All right. Well,
so I think that's the strength of the process.
Amazing. Sounds amazing indeed, Maria. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, that's all the time we had with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, to me, as always.
All righty then. Speaking to us, of